Happy
Surprise!
Happy late birthday! It's delicious.
Happy super late birthday.
Nice. Wait, really?
No, it's
I was
really?
I was like, no way, this is a luau party.
There you go.
Wow, this is really nice. This is beautiful. This is astounding.
And look, we have a photo backdrop with grass skirts and coconut bras.
Oh my gosh, can you see it?
So we're all gonna take pictures and we're gonna get laid.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's getting laid today.
Everybody.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, look at it.
Oh, he's gonna hula. He's gonna do the hula.
No, I'm sure you got but the skirt and the
Happy late birthday. It's delicious.
Happy super late birthday.
Nice. Wait, really?
No, it's
I was
really?
I was like, no way, this is a luau party.
There you go.
The 23-year-old died last August. 3 officers tackled him and used a chokehold. Officers arrested him and medical responders injected him with ketamine. He was not accused of a crime, but someone did call police saying he looked suspicious since he wore a mask.
Stop moving!
Fighting us on the ground.
My name's Elijah McClain.
Yeah,
That's
but
all.
I'm ready to use carotid.
That's what I was doing. I was just going home. Why? I'm an introvert and I'm different.
Come out?
No.
Was he out?
I
heard some snoring.
I just
He
don't
wasn't
like
completely.
going
He
home.
lost consciousness.
I'm just different.
Tried
I'm
to
just
calm down.
different. That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually Rosenberg.
I'm so sorry.
You're done, dude.
I have no gun.
That's why I tried carotid.
I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting.
Other units that are not here.
Why
They
were
can
you
slow it down a
telling me?
little bit.
I don't do guns. I don't even kill flies. I don't eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't judge people for anything.
This is where Elijah McClain was restrained by Aurora police. Tonight, friends and family gathered for a vigil, saying goodbye to a man they say should still be alive. Off Billings and Evergreen in Aurora,
I like to get them in the ground so they don't move.
Shannons McClain spent the afternoon installing solar candles, hoping to bring light to a place filled with recent darkness.
This is where my son Elijah lost his life.
Video from August 24th shows Elijah McClain down the block at a gas station, wearing a ski mask his family says he frequently wore while jogging.
Yeah, he liked running at night, but he also had anemia. We both do. We get cold very easily sometimes, so he liked to run, but he would get cold, so he started wearing a ski mask and a jacket.
But minutes after leaving this station, someone called police to report McClain as looking suspicious. When police found him near East Colfax, they say he did not respond to commands, leading to a struggle. Officers physically restrained him before calling paramedics, who gave him some sort of drug to calm him down on the way to the hospital. His heart later stopped.
After they had told us we had to leave the hospital, it was really hard dealing with it.
He looked pretty beat up, honestly. He didn't look like it was a medicine that caused it. It looked like it was something else.
Tonight, hundreds gathered at sunset.
Say his name!
Sharing memories of the young massage therapist who loved music and laughter.
The pet store that he worked across from, he liked to go there and play the violin and the guitar for the pets there because he thought they'd be lonely because, you know, no one was adopting them.
Memories all this community has left as they search for answers.
According to them, it's the medication that caused the heart attack. So it's what medication did they use?
I like to see the car videos, everybody's videos that's supposed to have videos. I want to see all that. I need to see all that. I need to know how they're going to pay for what they did.
He went into cardiac arrest and then died.
I'm shocked, to be honest with you. I'm totally shocked because I love Aurora and I respect everybody doing their job. You know, I respect the police. I respect the the people that were there that night, or I did before this happened. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know who to trust anymore. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out to remember Elijah's life.
On Saturday night, family members gathered to honor the young man who they say had a sweet soul, gave generously to other people, and loved music. They question why anyone would administer drugs without knowing what someone's reaction would be. Did he have any other medication or any other stuff in his system?
No, he doesn't drink, he doesn't take drugs, he doesn't do anything like that. He likes hanging out, he likes being aware of his body, what's in it.
Police told our partners at the Post there were no allegations that Elijah had done anything criminal.
I would like to see the body count soon, hopefully, so that we can know how it started and why it escalated that far.
Family members want to know why police used so much force on and medicated a young man who apparently just looked suspicious to someone and who apparently hadn't committed any crime.
Hello everybody, my name is Naomi McClain. This right here was my brother, Elijah McClain. And on the night of August 24th, these 3 following cops killed him. Number 1. Number 2, very, very aggressive. This is the 3rd cop. And this is another photo of Elijah, because I can't stand to look at those 3. But they have transferred to Denver Police Department because of all the publicity we were getting. They still have their jobs though. They got paid for the leave that they were on. So if you can look up Elijah's story and share it, please, so that we may get these cops fired and charged, that would be very, very helpful.
The city of Aurora is suddenly realizing 4 months into its independent investigation of a death involving police that their investigator is not independent. City just announced that it's had this ongoing investigation into the death of Elijah McClain running since February, very quietly. The issue, though, is the man hired to do it. The officers were cleared of wrongdoing. They were not criminally charged. This week, Aurora City Council members began calling for an independent investigation. The Attorney General originally hired for the review picked a guy named Eric Daigle, an ex-police officer. His website brags that he has defended several municipalities, police chiefs, and officers from liability claims. So the city is terminating the contract with Mr. Daigle, and City Council will look for a new, more independent investigator. Elijah McClain's mom, Shannons, came down to the Capitol today to testify before a House committee. They're debating the police accountability bill, the one that almost unanimously passed the Senate yesterday. McClain had this warning for state legislators.
If y'all don't do better, then it's going to get worse. And it's not going to stop at black people. It's not going to stop at colored people. It's going to go all the way around.
This bill would end the qualified immunity defense that generally protects law enforcement officers from being sued personally for excessive use of force. The bill also would ban the use of chokeholds statewide, and it would require every officer in Colorado to have and to turn on a body camera by 2023.
Chief Nick Metz appears to have covered up the murder of Elijah McClain along with a complicit coroner. And now, despite over 1 million signatures on Elijah McClain's Change.org petition, Aurora DA Dave Young has said, quote, "Unfortunately, we don't base our filing decision on signatures. So this week's video is a call to action. I invite any of you of any race, religion, age, on any continent to join with us and fight for justice for Elijah McClain. You are all welcome to participate because there are actionable things we can do to fight for justice. First, go to @GodIsGray on Instagram because I'm giving daily updates and easy, actionable things you can do to fight for Elijah McClain. And for a more in-depth view of this case, I've created an action page at godisgray.com. So this video will be a brief overview and there are so many more details. Former Police Chief Nick Metz, Interim Police Chief Vanessa Wilson, DA Dave Young, and to the members of Aurora City Council, Governor Jared Polis, and Mayor Kaufman, I know you saw the same video I did. I know you heard Elijah pleading for his life. Do the right thing and bring justice to Elijah McClain. For anyone just tuning in, these are the brief details of the case. On August 24th, 2019, 23-year-old Elijah McClain went to a convenience store to buy an iced tea. Before his murder, you can see that Elijah displayed nothing but love and kindness to the people he was interacting with. The clerk herself was not wary of Elijah, even though he was wearing a face covering.
He was not threatening at all. He was telling everybody hello. He asked everybody how their day was, and he said goodbye.
From the store, 140-pound Elijah walked home wearing that runner's mask. He was anemic, and friends say he often overdressed to shield him from the cold.
It says, I'm gonna go running at night, I'm gonna go to the store really quick kind of look.
What happens next to Elijah is a clear display of racism and police brutality. Rodema, Woodyard, and Rosenblatt immediately surround Elijah. Elijah says, I'm just trying to go home. They slam him into a brick wall, steal his phone, and wrestle him to the ground. The footage is disturbing on so many levels, because not only is Elijah begging for mercy, saying, quote, I'm an introvert, forgive me, but also you can watch the officers create a false narrative in real time. Rosenblatt accuses Elijah of reaching for a gun, which the video outright disproves. Later, an officer can be seen saying, quote, move your camera, dude, so there would be less evidence of their brutality. Speaking of video, all three of their body cams fall off during the struggle. You heard me correctly. All three of the officers claimed that their body cameras, quote, fall off. Which begs the question, Rosenblatt, Rodema, Woodyard, do you think we're stupid? Horrifyingly enough, I don't think our stupidity is what you were relying on. I believe you officers were counting on the support of your chief, Nick Metz. Just like the officer who knelt confidently, arrogantly on George Floyd's neck, you believed you'd be getting away with Elijah McClain's murder. And so far, they have. A lot of us are just now learning how police officers have become judge, jury, and executioner of our Black brothers and sisters with absolutely no accountability. One of those tactics is to lie and to say that their lives were in danger when they clearly weren't. Then Police Chief Nick Metz said, quote, from the officer's perception, it went from an investigatory stop to a potential life-threatening incident, and it certainly raised the officer's use of force. The honest truth is Rodema, Rosenblatt, and Woodyard had 140-pound anemic Elijah begging for his life, cuffed and submitted on the ground. Aurora PD, you have not only not charged the murderers of Elijah McClain, but you are currently employing them as officers of the law, called to protect and serve your citizens. How did they get away with it? On reports, they listed Elijah as having, quote, superhuman strength and exercising, quote, excited delirium. These were the exact phrases they needed so that Aurora PD would rule, quote, force applied during an altercation which eventually resulted in the death of a man was within policy and consistent with training as determined by a force review board. Rodema, Rosenblatt, and Woodyard are sadistic in this video. After performing a chokehold on a handcuffed Elijah, he vomited, and your three officers taunted him to, quote, not get that on me, dude. An arriving officer then threatens to send his police dog on Elijah, and for what offense? For moving his legs. Then Police Chief Nick Metz called this an error in judgment and said that officer is usually a good officer. For the offense of moving his legs, when a, quote, good officer tells him that he's gonna send his dogs on him, Elijah says, I'm sorry. From there, we see not one single person in this entire video addressing or looking at Elijah McClain like he is a human being. Not one Aurora policeman, not one Aurora paramedic, and not one Aurora fireman steps up to do anything to save the life of Elijah McClain. From here, the cops claim that Elijah needs sedation, and paramedic Jeremy Cooper does not check in with Elijah. No one does. No one second guesses the lies of Elijah's murderers. A department news release stated McClain was given a, quote, standard medication to help him calm down. A female cop holds an already complied Elijah, while the paramedic injects at least 1,400 milligrams of ketamine into his neck, which is visible on the coroner's report. Stephen Sina, chief coroner, says this is a normal dose of ketamine. But while researching, I found that 680 milligrams of ketamine is potentially lethal for someone who is 132 pounds. Elijah weighed 140 pounds. And this is why I hold not only Rodema, Rosenblatt, and Woodyard accountable, but also the paramedic, Jeremy Cooper, and the female officer who held him down, and the female officer who was flirting and laughing with other officers while Elijah McClain lay dying on the ground. I am so disgusted by what I've seen in Aurora, Colorado. I am so disgusted by the complicity in this video. I am so disgusted that we hear about, quote, good cops, and I don't see one in your video, Aurora. Some of Elijah's last words were, quote, I'm an introvert. I'm different. I respect all life. You are beautiful. And, of course, like so many others, quote, I can't breathe. In the ambulance, Elijah would suffer cardiac arrest, fall into a coma, and be taken off life support 4 days later. As for the apparent innocence of your 3 officers, Aurora PD, my argument is twofold. First, your decision to not fire and not charge these officers is not due to their innocence. It is because your flawed policies gave them a license to kill. The truth is, if a man can walk home minding his own business and wind up dead in the hands of your paramedics, your fire, and your police, then there is something very, very wrong with your policies. The truth is, if Elijah McClain had never run into Rosenblatt, Rodema, and Woodyard, that he would be alive today. And the truth is that those men murdered him. You and I also both know that Elijah is not the only citizen of Aurora who has been brutalized or murdered in the name of, quote, policy. My second argument is that policy here doesn't matter. Rosenblatt, Rodema, and Woodyard didn't honor your policy, no matter how flawed it may be. They outright lied. Even if your policy gives your officers a license to kill someone who has, quote, superhuman strength, or who is exercising, quote, excited delirium, you know that that is not true in the case of Elijah McClain. You also know that 3 body cams don't fall off. Even if they had, your officer is on camera saying, quote, move your camera, dude. He's on camera saying, quote, he reached for your gun, dude, which are all lies, lies, lies. Why are you harboring and protecting these murderers who didn't even act within your policy, flawed as your policy is? So God is great community. Anyone listening, this is what happens from here. Elijah's mother, Shannyn, is working tirelessly for Elijah's justice. I've created materials on my site as well as an Instagram post to spread the name and story of Elijah McClain. Thank you to everyone sharing Elijah McClain's name. Don't stop, keep sharing. We've got Shannyn's blessing on this. Let's hold these cops accountable until they are fired and charged. Dave Young, hello. Elijah McClain was brutalized, tortured, and murdered by 3 Aurora police officers. We also believe the paramedics should be held accountable, and everyone else in that video who stood by complicit. It is not too late to do the right thing and hold everyone involved accountable. And I want to take a moment to say I commend you, Interim Chief Vanessa Wilson. I see you've already made policy changes which will make it more difficult for officers to murder citizens without accountability in the future. However, we still need justice for Elijah McClain. It is not safe in Aurora or any city until Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt, and Randy Rodema are stripped of their blue uniforms and are no longer under the guise of protecting and serving your citizens. Shannyn has been waiting for too long. Fire these men, charge these men today. God is great community. Anyone else watching, let's not stop until this happens. Let's not stop until Randy Rodema, Nathan Woodyard, and Jason Rosenblatt suffer the consequences of murdering Elijah McClain. And I know this is all so dark and heavy, but I still believe in justice. I've just never realized how difficult justice can be. In parting, I will leave you with Shannyn's words. Everyone that has a loved one killed brutally by the police, Together, our cries have been heard, and we will continue to cry. Breath is sacred. Life is sacred. Love is sacred. No justice, no peace, no racist police. One voice, one goal, justice for Elijah McClain.